Hi there, I am Kiki Winters, artist, author, and owner of Sky Pony Gallery in Plano, Texas. This show is about real stories behind success, the folks who didn't just climb the ladder, but built their own, with a little help from someone who said, hey, try not to fall off. Here it is. Welcome to your life. So, we're talking about mentors, the ones who have guided us and inspired us and created ourselves to who we are today. And now it's our turn to pass it on and be mentors for others. And let's give a warm welcome to our guest today, Mike Morgan.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing?
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Keith,
Welcome.
thanks for having the show. It's a real honor. My name's Mike Morgan. I'm a blues guitar player, singer, and songwriter out of Dallas, Texas. And actually met Kiki and Doug and Richardson at a show at the tavern, uh, place where a buddy of mine plays every Thursday night, and met them and became friends with them. Oh, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know, maybe I'm off on my time a little bit, but I think it's been about 3 years, hadn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Tavern on Main Street in
Yeah.
Richardson, Texas.
Yeah.
Awesome place to go. You hear live music every Thursday night. Little plug for the tavern there. Our
So,
friend. Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that's where I met that's where I met Kiki and Doug, her husband Doug, and we become friends. And uh, she asked me to do this, and I was real happy that she asked me.
Well, you're an awesome musician, and you make me every time I hear you, I can't just sit. I have to get up and move. So, anyway, I want to know about your beginnings, and I've heard you talk on stage about who your mentors were in the beginning. So, it's so interesting when you talk about your life, even if you're supposed to be playing music, but everybody likes to know about the musician and how you got there in the beginning. So let's start there. I mean, what inspired you, like when you were young, to start playing, or who was your mentor?
Well, I got my first guitar, and it's been so long. I think I was in about the third grade, and I don't even remember why I wanted a guitar at this point. But for some reason I wanted a guitar, and I grew up in a probably middle class family. We didn't have a lot of money, and it wasn't just you can have what you want type situation. So I pestered them enough to where they actually bought me my first guitar. Was a out of the Sears catalog, and it was a toy guitar. It was a big hollow body plastic guitar, and uh, it was like a big plastic acoustic guitar, I guess you would call it. And it wasn't really meant to be played as a real instrument, but I kept working with it. And I guess they saw that if I was really going to try to play that piece of crap, that maybe they'd go ahead and spring and get me something. So we went down to Ben Franklin. You remember that dime store
I
called Ben
sure do. Yeah.
Hillsborough? I was born here in Dallas, but my mom got remarried when I was five or something, and we moved down to Hillsborough where my stepdad had a job offer down there. So in Hillsborough, we had a S.H. Crest store, which was another dime store, and we had Ben Franklin. And they bought me a little electric guitar and a little amplifier from there, and I, for most of my life, I have played kind of recreationally, and always loved it. And I don't remember who really inspired me first. I remember ZZ Top, hearing them when I was a little kid was kind of cool, and that got my attention. And I think Grand Funk Railroad was the first album that I bought with my own money. Probably went down to Gibson's discount store, and mom, dad took me down there. So I played all the way through junior high and high school, just fiddle farting around, nothing serious, a little garage band here and there, but it was never anything I took serious. I had a lot of distractions. I raced motorcycles and was really into dirt bikes, still am. And so I had a few, I wasn't one of those guys that at 10 knew that I wanted to be a musician. That's all I did my whole life. I had a lot of distractions. And then I got in and ended up having a career in music that I really wasn't planning on. But I look back, it's funny, Kiki. I look back, I think it's here at the house somewhere, your high school yearbooks. And
Yeah.
I think my senior yearbook, I was just flipping through it. And I guess in the back, they ask you, to the seniors, what's your dream or desire to do. I was like, I wonder what I put. And I put to be a musician. So I didn't even remember doing that, but it's been, it's been good. It's made me a living, and I've had fun, and I've had some other jobs, sales jobs, and finance jobs, in motorcycle business that I've fallen back on along the way when I got sick and tired of traveling and whatnot. So I've been real lucky. I've had kind of my two main passions. I've been able to, make a living. So pretty happy guy.
Yeah. So, in addition to your music, you worked on motorcycles as well.
Yeah,
And
I was in sales, and I was like a sales manager at a place, and I was a finance manager at another place. I've really only worked at two of them, but one of them ended up shutting down in 2018, and I went back to playing full time, but that was right before COVID hit, so that made it kind of hard to make a living doing that. And ironically, COVID was great for the motorcycle industry. So one of the guys I worked with called me and told me that there was an opening up at Al Lamb's Dallas Honda, and I need to get up there and take advantage because he said every day's like Christmas right now. So for 2 or 3 years, every day was like Christmas in the motorcycle business. So I did that up until about 2 years ago, and then I went back to playing full time.
yeah, well, personally, I'm glad you're back to playing full time because you rock, dude.
Well,
It's,
I'm enjoying it. It's I'm 65 now. I'll be 66 this year, and I've worked since I was 12. My first job was there in Hillsboro at 12, working for that SH Crest dime store.
yeah,
And I went to work for Dairy Queen and flipped hamburgers and made dilly bars and hunger busters and dudes. And so I've worked a long time, and I've worked real hard. And now I'm not retired, but I'm playing full time and having some time off. And it's really first time in my life where I've really had been able to have some time off. And it's, I got to make myself enjoy it, and not feel like I'm slacking off because I've worked so long. But yeah, it's nice to sit out in the backyard and watch the birds, or me and Pam hang out and mess with the dog or whatever.
yeah. Well, I see, I mean, I realized that you've also written quite a bit of your music as well and your lyrics. And so I have my favorites, of course. And but are you doing any songwriting right now?
No, it's funny. The last record I put out, it's been probably 2.5 years now. That was like I think it came out in 21, 22. Hell, and it may be longer than that. Anyway, about the time I went to work at that other shop, I put that record out. I don't remember, but prior to that, the last one I put out, I think, was in 2017. I mean, not 2017, 2007. Uh, so, it'd been a long time since I put a record out, and I hadn't really written anything during that whole period. So when I did this last record, I just sat down and started writing, and I've been blessed to be able to write songs. I'm not one of the guys that just has to write a song every day, but it's about time. Actually, on that last record I did, there's 4 or 5 songs that we didn't have room for, that we didn't even record. So I still have some stuff left over from that last session that I did. So
Yeah.
that's a long answer to I hadn't been writing lately.
Well, I remember one night we were at the tavern and you just said this verse, my grass is high and so am I. And I mean, you're just kidding around.
Yeah, I
Um,
use
but
that, and I need to do something with that.
so, yeah, so just to tell everyone here in the audience, so I took that and it inspired me so much that I wrote a song about that. My grass is high and so am I. So yeah, I'm still got your feet to the fire on writing that song.
You know
So,
what? I'm gonna work on that. Now I got another one for you that I'm supposed to be working on too. That about the sky pony.
oh, that's a secret.
Okay, I mean, uh,
Yeah, don't talk about that yet.
yeah, I just
That's a secret. For it's a surprise for someone
okay.
special. So, but anyway, that artwork behind you is my talented husband uh, at Sky Pony Gallery, and that's one of his paintings, Douglas Winters. And um,
Can you
and
see there?
I can see that over his shoulder there. So, but I enjoy writing as well. I used to do stand up for a little bit in my life. I know this is about you, but when I did stand up, I was a white rapper called Strawberry Sorbet instead of Vanilla Ice. Since my hair's red, I had to have a stupid stage name. So I did a lot of rap songs back then, and a little bit
You know,
of my background, but
you know that Vanilla Ice was a motocross guy.
I did not know that. Did you
Now,
know him?
his name is Robbie Van Winkle, and he was one of the fastest mini cycle racers in the country in the '80s.
Wow.
Guys that were young guys that were on little 80cc motocross bikes, and he was one of the two or three fastest guys in the whole country.
Did you ever race against him?
No, he was younger than me. I was older, but he was at the races when I was racing in the '80s, and he was. I mean, him and another guy named Billy Whitley were just blazing fast on 80, 85. Back then, I think they were 80. Now they're 85cc. But yeah, he was a motocross guy. He talks about that sometimes if you see him interviewed or whatever.
I never have heard that. That's interesting about him. I saw him once in person at in Dallas at a concert, and he was opening for MC Hammer. Remember that back in the day? Those big pants
Yeah,
MC Hammer would wear, and you can't touch this.
right.
And Vanilla Ice opened with his Ice Ice Baby. Those were those were fun days.
Robbie Van Winkle.
Yeah. Well, so Mike Morgan's your real name, and that's what you're sticking with. And so, yeah, I noticed on your website that Stevie Ray Vaughan was one of your mentors too, and he's a Dallas musician. He was a Dallas musician back in Oak Cliff. That's my area where I grew up in Dallas. That's the other side of the tracks, so they call it. But anyway, yeah, he went to my high school too. So
Oh, really?
that was good. Good old days. Yeah.
Well, at the time when his first record came out that just blew off the charts, it was about 85 or 86, right? When that
Yeah,
thing,
I think so. Yeah.
and this buddy, I was in Hillsboro and I was, working, you know, I had a job there, and um, there was only 4 or 5 musicians in town, and we all kind of knew each other, and we'd get together and have a little jam at somebody's house. But that's about all it was. We'd play a piece of a song and a piece of another song, and but the guy that was the drummer, Matt, his name's Matt Sessions. I've got another buddy named Matt Singleton, but Matt Sessions was the drummer, and he told me about this new. He said, "You heard of this thing that Stevie Ray Vaughan just put out?" And I was like, "Nah." And he played it for me, and I wasn't playing at that time at all. I hadn't been playing in a long time. I had 2 guitars underneath my bed. And I listened to that, and it did to me what it did to a lot of people. It really moved me. And
You
I
remember
said,
the name of that song?
no, it was just the album, the whole
Oh,
album,
the whole album. Yeah. Great.
tech, called Texas Flood.
Yeah.
And that was that first record that came out. And it was about 85, maybe 86, maybe 84. It was between 84 and 86. But that inspired me to dig my guitars out and start playing. I started playing along with the record, and it really got me to where I wanted to play. And so we got together and we started this little band to do one gig. The closest place you could go from Hillsboro to drink beer was down at West, between Hillsboro and Waco, and it was about 15 miles down to West. And we'd been going down there since we were 16 years old.
Uh,
And there was a place down there, and I booked a gig down there, and that was in 85, I think. And we worked up, whatever, we worked up 40 songs or something to get us through, and 30 songs or something. And we went down there, and it seemed like everybody would ever known our whole life showed up. And I think they charged $3 at the door, and we made about $800. And that was in 1985. And I went, wow, man, that's not bad.
that's big time back then.
We should do this again. Because we were just going to do one gig. It was just for fun. I was in between. Actually, at that point, I was in between jobs. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do from there. I had a job where I made pretty good money uh, in sales down there. And anyway, it's a long story, but one thing led to another. And I got serious about it and started changing some of the members, the local guys that were just doing it for fun, that they had jobs and they couldn't, pursue this. So I was able to hire some guys and moved up to Dallas and moved back to Dallas in '86 and pursued this. And uh, I was lucky because it was in a time, because of that Stevie Ray record, blues was popular as it had ever been in history. It was real mainstream, and young people were, if they wanted to go do something, they said, let's go see a blues band. Well, they don't say that anymore. The young people don't.
Right.
Uh, but I was lucky to get into it right, basically, as they say, riding on the coattails of somebody else, which was Stevie. So it was so popular that, you know, I didn't, nobody knew who I was because I was nobody. I'd never even been in a band. So, but it was so popular that if you sent somebody a tape, you know, a cassette tape and a little picture and it sounded okay, they'd hire you.
Yeah.
So, you know, one thing led to another, and I was able to link up with a singer here in town that had played with Anson and the Rockets, a guy named Daryl Newlish, who is a world class blues singer. And he had split up with Anson and he was needing money. And we had a mutual friend, a guy that I'd met at a couple of the gigs. And he was friends with Daryl. And I'd seen Daryl play with Anson because Anson was and is one of my guitar heroes, who's became one of my very close friends also. Um, but he told Daryl about this new group, this new guy in town that, you know, and Daryl needed some money. And it was, you know, honestly looking at it, Daryl joining my band back then was like a major league pitcher, you know, like one of the best major league pitchers taking a job pitching for a high school team or something. So he was way out of our league, but he helped me. He didn't do it on purpose. He didn't mentor me on purpose, but he said, "Look, man, if you want to learn how to be a blues guy, you need to get rid of all your ZZ Top stuff and your Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff and your Fabulous Thunderbird stuff, because that's really all I knew about at that time." And he handed me a stack of albums, you know, this deep. You know, it was. He just said, "Here, take these home and learn all this." And it was people that I'm, you know, it's in my wheelhouse and in my, you know, vocabulary now. But at the time, I didn't even know who they were. It was Freddie King and T-Bone Walker and Magic Sam and Little Walter and Sonny Boy Williamson, Little Milton, Elmore James, all these guys that are like the Mount Rushmore of the blues. But at the time, I'd never been subjected to that, so I had no idea. I'm like, okay. So I took them all home and I sat around for 8 or 9 hours a day, you know, working on all that stuff. And that's that's what helped me go back to, you know, instead of trying to sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan or Jimmy Vaughan, I was able to get the stuff that they listened to develop their styles. So, you know, it was that was one of my first big uh, things of mentorship, that somebody pointed me in the right direction. And of course, Anson helped me get my first record deal. He was on Blacktop Records, which back in that time, they were one of the two biggest blues uh, labels out there. It was Blacktop and Alligator were the two big. Alligator's still around, but Blacktop's folded up. But I think I ended up doing 8 records with them. And it was because Anson told Hammond Scott, which was one of the two brothers that owned the label, about us and that he should look at us.
Hey,
And
Mike, we're about to run out of time.
oh wow,
I know it's been 30 minutes or so, but um, I've got a limited time here. But I did want to end with surprising you with one of your songs. So, but thanks for the interview. And I wanted to express that mentors has having mentors in your life was so important. And yeah, you expressed that in a way that others can understand how being a mentor for someone is so helpful. And so um, I'm going to put your links in the description so people can find out where you're playing in Dallas Fort Worth area and even Oklahoma. So let me end with my favorite song of yours, Ding dong daddy.
Hey,
Thanks, Mike.
thanks, everybody.
And we'll see you at the tavern on Main Street.
Yeah, I'll be up there in 2 or 3 weeks, I think.
Great. Well, thank you, Mike, and we'll talk soon. Okay?
Thanks.
Adios.
I'm a real slick Cadillac, wag my tail. Ding dong daddy, cause I got my bell. Ding dong. Well, I'm a ding dong. I'm a ding dong daddy, and I come from a rock and roll city. I went to see my baby and knocked on the door. She said, come on daddy, please don't go. Ding dong. Well, I'm a ding dong. I'm a ding dong daddy, and I come from a rock and roll city. Well, rock me fast, rock me slow. Come on, baby, rock some more. Ding dong. Well, I'm a ding